Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Nola, and today is Sunday, March 22nd, 2026, and not 2025 like I said last week. I trust you are all well, and I thank you for being here. And to the new subscribers, I truly appreciate you. Today, I wanted us to chat a little bit about music, because I've been thinking lately about what music does for us in the different seasons of life. And there are songs we reach for when we are grieving. Yes, there are songs we reach for when we are anxious, and songs we put on when we need courage. And then there's the songs that take us straight back to a person, a place, or a moment we thought we had left behind. And I've come to believe that sometimes the soul reaches for music before the mind fully understands why. And there is something almost miraculous about the way music acts as a portal. You know, a melody can return us to childhood, to a family reunion, to a wedding, or to a summer that changed everything, or to a season of grief more vividly than almost anything else can. I do not think I need or we need to over-explain this. Most of us already know it in our bones. They know what, or we know what it is to hear a certain song and suddenly be somewhere else entirely, remembering someone, something, or some part of ourselves. You know, personally, I have always had theme songs for my life. And for different seasons of my life also. And one of my favorites for many years was Amy Grant's It Takes a Little Time. I think it was back from 1997. Correct me if I'm wrong. And there was something about that song for me, about turning the ship around, about getting my feet back on the ground, that always spoke to me. And it reminded me that healing and clarity do not always happen all at once. Sometimes life asks us to be patient with ourselves while we find our footing again. And my taste in music is very eclectic. I'm not a music scholar or an expert by any stretch of the imagination. And over the years, I've reached for opera, spirituals, chants, classical guitar, pop music, and of course R&B. That's in my soul. And some music comforts, some steadies, and some music remembers. It helps us to remember. Some lifts, and some simply sits beside us when life feels too heavy. And this last week, you know, with everything that's going on in the world, I, like you, like most of us, this week, I found myself returning again and again to the aria Casta Diva, you know, from Bellini's opera Norma. But I discovered a new Dutch artist. I think her name is Wendy Koren, and my gosh, is she good. But I've always loved arias. And I have one of my cousin's daughters named her daughter Aria, and I was so moved by that. And I deviated. I was going to speak about Casta Diva and how it moved me so deeply. And at first, I didn't understand why. And the title is often translated as chaste goddess. And the aria, in essence, is a prayer to the moon, a prayer for calm and peace, and for the softening of what feels turbulent, volatile, and frightening. And there is a longing in it, but there is also restraint. It is not loud. It is not chaotic. It is dignified. It is aching, and it is prayerful. And I thought to myself, of course, that is what my soul reached for in a time when the world feels uncertain and unsettled, right? Not because I'm someone special. Nope, I'm not. But because music often knows what we need before our conscious minds can catch up. And I also found myself listening to Nessun Dorma. And that is another aria that I love. But I hadn't reached for these in a long time. That one carries a very different energy. So if Casta Diva feels like a prayer and longing for peace, Nessun Dorma feels like resolve, endurance, and rising. It has the energy of pressing through darkness towards something brighter. And I realized this week that I've been reaching for both kinds of music. One, when my soul needs stillness and comfort, and another, when it needs courage. And my gosh, with all that is taking place in the world, when you look at the situation for what it is, I think a great many of us right now are carrying grief, anxiety, stress, and often a feeling of helplessness. Some of it is deeply personal and some of it is collective. But we live in a time in the world when the world itself is feeling very heavy. And helplessness may be one of the hardest emotions to sit with because it has nowhere to go. Have you ever felt helpless? That feeling of helplessness, we really feel stuck. We don't know what to do, where to go, what to say. And so music is one of the few things that can hold helplessness, yes, without trying to fix it. It does not solve anything, and yet somehow, just somehow, it makes the unbearable more bearable. And that to me is extraordinary. It's amazing how the soul knows. And I think that maybe some of the great mysteries and gifts of music, sometimes the soul knows before the mind catches up, is what I'm trying to say. Sometimes we reach for a song, a spiritual, a chant, an aria, a hymn, or a piece of guitar music purely because something in us already recognizes what it needs, even when we cannot explain it in words. And perhaps that is where hope enters, not optimism, beloved, because optimism says everything will be fine. Hope, on the other hand, says something much quieter. Hope says, I will not give up. So music carries that distinction beautifully. Even the most mournful piece of music is, in its own way, an act of hope because someone made it and someone is still listening. And perhaps that is why music matters so much in difficult times. It not only helps us remember, not only helps us when we grieve and reflect, it also reminds us that despite it all, we will have courage and we will rise. And I want to know, or I'd love to know from you, what music do you reach for in the different seasons of your life? What do you listen to when you are grieving, beloved? What do you listen to when you need courage? When you want to remember someone? Or when your soul simply needs to be still? I think that this question opens something very rich and very tender, because so many of us have songs and pieces of music that have carried us in ways we may never have fully spoken about. Sometimes the only way that we can express ourselves to music. And sometimes music is not just something we listen to. Sometimes it's recognition. And many years ago with my late husband, I was very fortunate to have gone to Turkey and to have been part of the audience for the whirling dervishes. And my gosh, did that move me. The reed music, the drums, the chanting, it moved my soul. It brought me to tears. And the poetry, much of it for the time that I was there, or that audience that I was a part of, was some of the most beautiful poetry from Rumi. And it's not a dance. It is, I want to say, a prayer to God, reaching out to God. And it was so incredibly beautiful. So I would love to hear from you about some of the music that has seen you through, because music ties us to places, to people, and to things. It's amazing how much just hearing a song can take you back to 1973 when you were a preteen, or when you were already a teenager, and music that will remind us of loved ones that have gone on, or old loves that we've had, or wonderful times that we've had with families and the celebrations. And also it reminds us of some of the struggles and the battles that we have faced. So on that note, I want to remind you, to remind all of us, not to forget to take good care of yourself, and to remember that kindness truly matters. Everybody is dealing with something that we don't know anything about. So eat well, keep yourself hydrated. For many of us around the world, we are in spring, and for some of you, you're now in fall or autumn. So take care of yourself. In this crazy mixed up world of ours, take care of yourself, take care of each other, be kind. And if you would consider liking, sharing with someone who may need to hear this right now, and please consider subscribing. Until the next time, do take care, and bye for now.